Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this episode of Beyond the Barclay with me, Jez Davies. I am joined with my illustrious co-host, Mr. Morgan Hewitt. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Really excited about tonight's episode, actually. We've got a man that's local to me. He lives in Stotfold, but is also a Norwich City fan and an artist. I'm delighted to introduce Mr. Michael Brace to the show. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good, gents. How are you doing? You guys all right?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much.
Good.
Perhaps just before we sort of showcase some of your work, which I'm going to put on the screen, just like to introduce yourself. Obviously, I've told everyone where you're from, but how long you supported Norwich for, and maybe your first game.
Yeah, so obviously, Michael, I'm a Norwich fan. I've been a Norwich fan as far as long back as I can remember, I think. So I'm 40 now. My old man took me to a game when I was 5. I think I was 5 or 6, and it was Norwich Man City, and he was a big Man City fan. So he took me to see Norwich Man City, and he sort of said to me, "Oh, who do you support? What team do you want to win?" And I was like, "Oh, who's wearing yellow?" He was like, "Well, Norwich." I was like, "Oh, them." And that was it. A decision made on the colour of a shirt when you're 6 years old, and you're stuck with it for life, aren't you? But yeah. So I've been a Norwich fan since then. And I used to go a lot in the 90s, which, if you see some of my drawings, or we talk about them later, you can probably see through some of the people that I've been drawing. But it was the Jeremy Goss, Robert Fleck, Raw Fox, Brian Gunn sort of era that I got into it. So I followed them since then. I sort of stopped following them for a bit when I went away to university or whatever, because it sort of just got a bit too difficult. But I've always had a Norwich shirt in my wardrobe since I was about 6 or 7. In fact, my mum and dad got me the purple Brian Gunn Norwich and Peterborough shirt with the shoulder pads when I was about 7. And it still kind of fits me now because it was a 40-inch chest. So I don't know how they got it for me to grow into, but I've still got it and it still fits me. And I had a look on, I think it was Classic Football Shirts the other day, and they're selling them for about 200 quid. So
until some of those ones.
Because it's an original as well. It's not like a rerun. So it's always been, Norwich has always been part of my identity, if that doesn't sound too corny, I guess.
No,
I have a Norwich mug at work, and everyone knows it's mine. No one touches it. So yeah, I've always been interested in the club, and I've always been. So we went a lot when I was a kid because my nan and granddad lived in Norwich. My mum sort of went to school there in her late teenage years, and I've always had a connection to it. And then when I met my wife, her granddad had a caravan just by Cromer.
Oh, nice.
And now my brother lives in Overstrand. So his 2 daughters are, one's a Man United fan for some reason, and the other one's a Norwich fan. So he takes them to see Norwich women play at the Nest and stuff. So there's always been a connection to Norwich within the family. So I just, and obviously it's just Norwich, isn't it? Who doesn't like Norwich?
Well, that's it. And I mean, obviously, I assume you've been based around here. Bedfordshire most of your life. So do you drive up to the games, or do you get a train?
Yeah, well, I was Hertfordshire, so I sort of born and grew up in Baldock,
right?
And then I went away to university to Cov.
Okay.
Because I have some family connections there and some family football connections there, but it just doesn't feel the same as Norwich. So then I moved back after I finished university. So I sort of we travel up. My son's 9 now, and he's desperate to go and see a game. So I'm trying to figure out how to get tickets to take him to go and see him. It's but because my nan was there, we used to travel up. I mean, she passed away 10 years ago now, but she lived in a old folks home, I guess, for want of a better term, just outside the city centre. And they used to let you have a guest room for £10 a night. So we used to go up and see her, and then go into the town and stuff. And there was parking there, so you'd park, stay in this nice room. It was 10 minutes walk from the city centre, and then we'd go and so there's always been a family connection there, and we were always going up there for Christmases and family dues and stuff. And then
fantastic.
It became a tradition that what we did is we'd go and see my nan and granddad, and then we'd go and my dad would take me and my brother to see the Norwich game, and then we'd go back and eat dinner. And I remember I was thinking about this earlier because I knew we were doing this tonight. They always used to give me peas and sweet corn on my plate with my dinner, and instead of eating them, I'd make them into a little Norwich shirt and shorts because it's the only
Love
thing I
that.
could do with them. Because I was like, well, I don't want to eat them, so I
No,
just, but yeah, so yeah, it's
no.
always been there. I guess it's always been part of what I'm doing and what I'm about.
All right, brilliant. That's really good. I mean, I was going to just flash up some of your artwork now, actually. I mean, some of the questions that obviously we'll be talking about it a little bit later on, but I just wanted to show
Yeah.
Morgan, if he hasn't seen it. I think I might have forwarded you one, Morgan, before, but this is obviously Mr. Gunn.
Very good.
It's excellent, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, obviously for our audio listeners on Apple and Spotify, this is going to be rubbish, this section, but we'll
yeah,
try.
yeah. We could describe him for you. It's a drawing of Brian Gunn in colour pencil. I actually got him. He actually liked that on Instagram, reposted it. So I was pretty pleased with that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's amazing. That was his sort of Rick Mail years, wasn't it?
Yeah, he does look a bit like that. Or I wouldn't say it's his face, but he looks a bit like the guy from Ghostbusters 2.
Oh,
was it
yeah.
Vigo the Carpathian? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vigo,
But
yeah.
again, if I ever meet him, I don't think I'll say that to him.
And then we got obviously Mr. Jeremy Goss. That's a great photo. I mean, the detail on the legs there.
Yeah, I'm not hugely happy with that one, to be honest. I don't like the face, but I guess I'm just being picky. But yeah, it was obviously smashing in the goal against Bayern Munich.
I mean, how long would something like this take?
Probably not as long as you'd think. I guess that'd probably take maybe 3 or 4 hours, maybe.
Wow.
But that's just because I'm used to doing it, so I've got like tricks and techniques that you use that speed it up. But yeah, I think that one probably I did that one over a period of 3 days. It probably took about 5 hours, I would say.
Yeah,
over 3 days to do.
Oh, that's amazing. And then this one here is a little bit more recent, but iconic nonetheless. That shirt was incredible, wasn't it? Remember that shirt?
Yeah, I had that shirt. I got rid of it for some reason. I don't know what I was doing, but
yeah.
Good
I think that was back in the day when we had to. Sorry, Morgan, carry on.
It's Darren Huckabee for all the listeners.
Indeed, but I think that shirt was worn over a couple of seasons because back then it wasn't this sort of a new shirt every year. So this was worn when we won the league in the championship, but also the first season of that Premier League when we got back. And I don't know if you ever realised, but Zara just ripped off other shirt makes. So this was their Adidas version.
Oh, did they? Yeah, nice. Yeah,
and then the one following that was Nike because of the way that the I might reserve this chat for when we speak to our shirt collector.
Okay.
And then this one, which is brings us. It brings us up to date, but I suppose it doesn't because this is about 5 or 6 years ago as well.
Yes, I think. Were we in the Premier League with this one? Was this kit the Premier League? I can't remember. Yeah. I remember because I had him in my team. Every time we got promoted, our first game was against Liverpool, and I had him in my fantasy football team. We played Liverpool, and I think they beat us 4-1 or 3-1, but he scored, so I racked up points for that. But Mr.
Simi Buki, yeah. So I mean, they're absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. So I mean, obviously I'm going to jump into some of the questions now. So I mean, being based in Bedfordshire, how does that influence your creative process or the themes that you explore in your work?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's going to sound like a rubbish answer. It doesn't really, because I'm not sort of influenced by where I am. I guess I'm more influenced by my experiences and what I do. So I mean, I did used to be a member of an artist network in Bedfordshire, and this is kind of my second shot at being an artist. I tried it about 12, 13 years ago, and life got in the way. Got married, had kids, people got ill, things happened.
Yeah.
But so it probably back then it was more influential because I was displaying things in more local shows and more local galleries. But for the content of my work, really, it's not like I paint or draw things from local, so it doesn't have a huge impact. I guess one thing it does do is it puts me on quite a good train line and driving line to London, which is quite useful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so living in Bedfordshire is kind of incidental, I would say, to the work that I do. But yeah. So
that makes sense.
Much of an answer, really.
No, that's fine. I mean, my follow-up question to that, it really was, and is being an artist what you do day to day, or do you work outside of that?
No, I've got a full-time job that I do.
Right.
This is more of a hobby, really. So I kind of I studied art at university. So I did the usual GCSEs, A-level, university, and then I kind of left university in 2008, I think it was. And the credit crunch happened, and it got a bit difficult to do art. So I kind of tried to make a go of it back in like 2011. I kind of had a bit of success to start with, but then it dried up, and then, like I said, life took over. I had a job, got married, had kids. So I just thought I'd sort of go back to it. So I kind of went back to it because I hurt my knee. I was playing football, and then I was doing weightlifting and stuff, and I tore my ACL, which is a classic footballer's injury, which makes me sound probably like more of an athlete than I am. I was playing five-a-side after work one day and just got skinned by some kid and tried to turn and go with him and just ripped my leg in half. So because I couldn't sort of train or do anything, I just went back to drawing, and then I just sort of stuck with it because it was something to do. It was a focus to have that wasn't sport and training. And then I got to the position about a year or so ago where I thought, oh, actually, do you know what? I've drawn quite a lot of drawings. Some of them aren't too bad. Maybe I'll start sort of put them out there.
Yeah.
So I probably started again in earnest, I would say probably summer last year.
Okay.
So I've been going at it about 8 or 9 months, I suppose, this time around. So yeah.
Amazing. Over to you, Morgan.
Do you find any of your crossover between football culture and art has being a Norwich City fan ever inspired a piece? I mean, obviously we've seen.
Well, yes, it has. Yeah, so it's an interesting, I guess, crossover between art and sport. There is definitely some crossover. I wouldn't say the cultures are too similar because I don't know how much you guys know about the art world or if you've had any links to it. It can be quite, how do I put this diplomatically? It can be quite closed off, I guess, to people who aren't already in it. Yeah, insular. Yeah, and it can be quite difficult, I think, to like breach and break into that sort of community. Whereas football is a lot more open. I think there's a lot more welcoming of people. I mean, all you got to do is turn up with a shirt on and cheer some people, and you know everyone's your mate. As soon as we score a goal, everyone loves you, don't they? So I think in that respect, but there is crossover with the passion, I think, and the determination, and I think also the dedication that artists put in. I think obviously with footballers, any professional athlete, it's a given that they train all the time and that they eat properly and that they are really dedicated to their craft and they want to be the best they can. And I think there's this misconception with artists and musicians that they just kind of, you know, pick up a guitar or pick up a paintbrush and just do it, and it's easy and they do it because they're really talented. Well, actually, it takes a lot of work, like a lot of work. I don't think people realize quite, like, I will draw for 2 or 3 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I've got literally sketchbooks full of pictures that are unfinished or I've just abandoned because it wasn't quite right, it wasn't working, the technique wasn't working. So what I put out on social media or what I put out in a gallery is probably 2 or 3% of what I've actually done. Which I kind of guess is quite similar to footballers. So, like, I mean, Lionel Messi never played for Norwich, which is a shame. I'm sure he'd have liked it if he came. But you know, or Ronaldo, you see him winning the Ballon d'Or, you see him winning the World Cup, you think, oh, amazing. What you haven't seen is the years of work that's gone into that moment. And it's kind of the same with artists where, you know, you'll display a piece or, you know, an artist to win the Turner Prize, for example, and everyone will think, oh, well, I could have done an unmade bed, whatever. I could have cut a shark in half and put it in a tank of formaldehyde. But they haven't seen the 20 years of graft that's led up to that. And I guess that's very common. That's a commonality between art and sport that I think people don't see. And I think, and also the passion and dedication that artists have to what they're doing. You know, I'm a bit more balanced with it, I guess, but there are certainly some artists that it just consumes people. And I think it's the same for sport, isn't it?
100%.
You know, if you want to be a professional athlete, you've got to live and breathe it. That's it. You're not doing anything else. And it's kind of the same for an artist. If you want to be a professional artist, that is what you do. So I guess that's sort of a crossover.
Yeah, 100%.
And arts. But there is the other thing with art, right? And I was thinking about this as well earlier. Is one of the challenges with it, like so, sport and music are very good at creating a shared experience, aren't they? So you go to a football game. I mean, I remember going. I was lucky enough to get tickets to the Man City Bayern Munich game a few years ago in the Champions League.
Nice.
And that was a quality game. And I'm not a Man City fan. It's a legacy from my old man.
Yeah. Sure.
But I went, and it was great. Why would you say no? If someone says, "Oh, I've got tickets to Bayern Munich, Man City. Do you want to come?" Yeah. But it was a great shared experience. You walked out of there thinking you were just buzzing when you walked out of there. And it's the same with music, isn't it? You go to a concert, you're buzzing when you walk out of there. And I think art, it struggles sometimes to generate that same feeling for people. I mean, who was the last person you spoke to was buzzing walking out of an art gallery? Well, they might be buzzing because they're walking out of it, but they're not buzzing because of what they've seen. So it's hard, I think, for art to generate that sort of feeling in people. So there is a lot of crossover, but also there is quite a lot of separation, I think. And
it depends on what you mean by art. We're talking about.
Yeah, well, this is the other thing as well, isn't it? Yeah.
You're talking about visual art or cinematography. If I go to a great film or I rewatch a great film, that's art, right? I'll come out of that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
When I feel pumped, and I want to talk about last film I saw was Mulholland Drive. So David Lynch film, BFI, South Bank, and I remember seeing Mulholland Drive on DVD back in 2002. I didn't really understand.
Naomi Watts, is it? Is it Naomi Watts?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I watched it recently with a friend at BFI, and I came out and I was like, I have loads of questions, and it was great. And I think it's the same with visual art or performative art or
absolutely.
Poetry. Norwich is a big city in terms of its writing scene and poetry scene. I perform poetry. Jez might laugh, but I have spoken word.
No, I think that's amazing, Morgan.
Back in my former, like, early years, and you if you deliver it, depending on what it is, it can be really powerful. You can
absolutely, yeah.
And I think, like, if I go to a visual art exhibition, the last one I went to was a Francis Bacon one last year.
Oh yeah.
Last year in London at the National Portrait Museum, and I came out of that and I was like, that was great. Like, it was pretty dark. Francis Bacon's not the most.
It's quite intense, isn't it? It's quite intense stuff that he does.
Yeah. Well, I remember going to the Science Museum back in 2014, and it was a photographer called Martin. It was Martin Parr and someone else. And what those guys used to do was go around, like, seaside resorts around the UK and take, like, everyday photos, like street photography before it became a big thing. Martin, like, progenitor for street photography, and it was just like, I came out of that exhibition and I was like, that's so good, because it's capturing those moments in time. No one was looking. And one time I was at Dulwich Hamlet watching a game, and for some reason I took a photo of my iPhone like that, and the photo came out. It was perfect. Like, it was, you had like a bit of a banner of Dulwich Hamlet at the top, so you could identify what it was. But each and every single individual in the crowd had a story to tell, but not one single person was looking at the camera. And I was like, that's so cool that I got it printed out and gave it to my mate and got it framed for, like, a Christmas present.
Nice.
And I just sometimes think that, like, this photograph of the last the derby at Ipswich versus Norwich, where we lost 3-1, but this photo, I don't know what photographer took it, but look at the faces of Medic, Wright, Makama, and then there's Nunes on the end, and they're all just giving him this look. And then like that photo, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get that black and white. I'll turn it black and white. I get it printed out and I get it framed, because there's just those little moments, those nuances when you go to an exhibition.
Yeah, but it makes a connection with you. Yeah.
And that photo, I'm like, I think it's one of the best photos I've seen, NCFC photos I've seen in absolutely ages. Because it just tells a story. It tells a story that the Nunez transfer that should never have happened, and then you've got a bunch of like players that none of us really recognise, looking at him like he's just killed a cat. And
And that's the thing with art. So this is the thing when people say, oh, "What is art?" You know, that's a big question, and people asking the art. Well, what is art? I mean, it's a storytelling medium, I guess, isn't it? It's a visual medium to tell stories, and you're exactly right. Like, if it tells a good story and it connects with you and it grabs you, then that's what makes good art. So I suppose, and you are right, and that it can create shared experiences, and it can bring people, like, create communities. I think my point was it's just harder, I think, because of the nature of how it is and things are displayed. But I think, like you say about Francis Bacon, I saw some Mark Rothkos in New York a few years ago. I don't know if you've ever seen them live, and they are massive. Massive, and they are really intense. Like, and I've only ever seen them like in a book or on postcards or whatever, and you just think, oh yeah, some bloke's just coloured in some squares with some paint. Like, anyone can do that. But when you see them, you're like, Jesus, that's amazing. I think I'd go as far as to say he's my favourite artist, and that's the first time I've seen something where I've gone, wow, that really is impactful.
It's incredible,
and it's amazing how different it can look. Like you say, you know, you probably, everyone's probably seen a Francis Bacon picture somewhere, but until you go and see them, like I saw a Picasso as well, and that thing was enormous. It was the Five Prostitutes. I can't remember the French name for it, but it's massive, and you just think, wow, it's huge. And it's really impactful. But I guess also for art, it's more subjective, isn't it? And what is good art is such. I mean, I think about, I use football actually as an example when we talk about art and the subjectivity, because objectively it's quite easy to tell a good footballer, isn't it? Are they good at football? Can they pass? Can they control it? Can they score? Are they good in their position? Whatever. But it's not as objectively easy to tell a good artist, because, you know, someone could be a hugely successful artist and you look at their work and think that's rubbish. Like a 4-year-old could do that. Or someone could be really technically talented, but their art just doesn't land because it's soulless, or there's no passion.
This channel.
Or you know, whatever. So so there is definite crossover. I guess my point there is there's definite crossover with sport and art, but it's it's kind of a difficult. There are two communities. I think they're probably a flip side of one coin, I guess. But one commonality is definitely the passion and the drive that people who want to do it have to put into it to get to where they want to be, I suppose.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you mentioned earlier on about the Shark in the Tank by Damien Hirst, and it's actually one of my inspirations to start this podcast. Carl Pilkington actually come up with a famous quote about that.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
He was saying, I think you must have heard it, and he was saying that he was saying it was him, Ricky Gervais, and Stephen Merchant were talking about it, and they were saying,
I've heard that podcast.
Yeah, and they were saying, well, I can't see why anyone would want it in their house, so it's not art, is it? And Carl Pilkington turned around and said, what is he, an artist or a fishmonger?
Yeah. The funny thing about, so what I love about, so Damien Hirst obviously divides opinion, but one thing I think is really entertaining about that, so he did that, I think it was the early 2000s that he created that piece and put it out in the world, and it sold for like 9 million or whatever, some collector. And actually, if you think about the technical skill it is involved in chopping a shark in half and putting in a tank of formaldehyde, it's actually quite a lot. But anyway, so he did this thing and he called it a very, very strange name, and he puts it out there in the world and it sells for 9 million. And then about 5 years later, he did it again and sold it for 7 million. And I just think what a great like hustle that is.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that was really popular. You know what? I'm just gonna wait 5 years. I'll do it again and sell it for another couple of million quid. Just think what great, you know. And like he said something which I think is quite interesting. He's like, you know, you can create something and put it out there, and someone says, well, anyone could have done that. Well, anyone didn't do that, did they? I did
No,
it.
exactly.
It didn't exist until I did it, and now people are saying, well, I could have done it, but you didn't. And I guess it's the same with your poetry, isn't it? Like, I'm not very good at poetry. I don't really understand poetry in as much as I wasn't very good at English at school. So I know there's like structure to it, and it has to follow a rhythm and stanzas and that stuff. But I can't do it myself, and I would struggle to identify. If someone says to me, write a poem, I wouldn't be able to do it. But I guess if there's a poem that's short or it's only a few words, people could listen to it and go, well, I could have written that. It's like, if you didn't, and not only did you not, you didn't put yourself on the line. And like, if you say you stand up,
it's connection. It's a connect, and this I you know, maybe we're gonna this episode will go down
slightly gone off topic from Norwich City and football here.
No, it's still part and parcel of it, but like it's a feeling, right? It's a feeling. It's like why you decided to those particular images that that Jez showed earlier. Were representative of your feeling of the club at that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So, you know, if I write a poem about Jez's massive forehead in like a haiku, but it means something to me, and it comes from a genuine place rather than just me writing a bunch of words to be an arsehole. Surely that's, you know, that's coming from somewhere that, you know, means something. I think
absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's, I don't know, and I find this in particular, and I don't know if you would agree with this, but being English or British, it's very much a case of like, oh, wow. Or, you know, it's quite challenging to be an artist or have an artistic kind of like sense without getting someone taking the piss out of you and being like, well, and but what, we're not allowed to like articulate our feelings through verse or through words or through visuals or through whatever. Like, and I think that's very much a British thing, and I don't know whether that's something you've come across in your time, but you know, that's
I have, and I think, I don't know, like your history, you're growing up or whatever, but I think for a lot of kids in England, you know, you get told not to show off, don't you? Don't be a show off. No one likes to show off. You know, we're not encouraged to say that we're the best at something because it's seen as rude, or it's seen as too arrogant or whatever. So yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, if you do something that is an emotional thing, that you take a part of yourself and you put it out there, I think people don't know how to deal with that, and so humour is a natural response to it, isn't it? And because we're English and we're very stiff upper lip, and we're still we don't necessarily want to talk about that stuff. So yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. I think that's right. And in fact, a friend of mine and my wife lives over in New York, and it kind of is a similar thing, but I just think this is a funny phrase, so I quite like it. And she was saying that in England, if you get a pay rise, you don't tell anyone because it's not polite. In America, if you get a pay rise, you throw a barbecue, invite all your mates round, and tell them how much you've got. And it's just a cultural difference. And I think it's the same. I think it's the same with art. Like in other countries,
it's celebrated.
Some of the greatest artists are Spanish, aren't they? Or Italian. 100%. You know, and it's a very passionate culture, and they're a lot more. Whereas we're British. We, you know, talk about that. You know, don't show off. You know, and I remember getting told. I think I said once that I was the best artist in my school, and I got told, "Oh, you can't say that. You don't say that. You can't. Don't be arrogant. Don't show off." And it's like, well, it's probably just a fact, to be honest with you. But I think yeah, you're right. And and also you worry about people, like say, taking the mick, don't you? You say something, or you do something, you put something out there, and someone says, "Oh, I think, well, what are you drawing for? What are you going to do? You know, whatever." Poetry is probably a good one, isn't it? What are you doing? Write poems for? Why don't you go and, you know, play football? And you think, well, I don't want to do that. I want to write poems. But yeah, it's a hard thing, and it's a hard thing to put yourself out there and let people judge what you're doing. I mean, it's easy to be a critic, isn't it? Anyone can be a critic. But it's hard to be the person out there saying, well, this is me and this is what I make and this is what I do and this is what I believe, and I'm going to put it out there and see how it connects with people.
I will say that. I will say this. Yeah, it is. I mean, me and Jez, we've had this conversation about this fucking podcast. Like, do you really think that logo just turned out from thin air, or geography stuff that we do? It just happens and comes together and it's there. No, like we have to think about this stuff. And I think sometimes, me and Jez are like, well, how's it going to be received? I'll be honest with you, Michael, I don't read any of the comments on anything that we put out because I just
fair play.
because I don't want to know. I don't want to know either way. Like we it takes a lot of effort to do this shit, and it's also very quick. It takes a lot of effort to do something, but it's also very easy to knock yourself down in two or three people's comments, and so me, I don't know, Jez is probably like, Morgan's off his leash tonight, he's in morgue mode, but it's true, right? Like, Jez, it's scary, right?
I've just sat here and listened to you both for the last 10 minutes. I've really enjoyed the chat. I mean, I think you're completely right, Morgan. I think, there is, I can't ever compare us to an artist, but, we put a lot of work into this, and it's...
Well, it is. I mean, you can, because you're doing something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
You're putting it out there, and
you're exactly. And
you're making your feelings about something known. Like,
exactly.
So,
the thing for me, and Morgan will agree with this, is we just want to give people a voice, and that's why someone like yourself coming in as vast and as what's the word I'm looking for, diverse, I guess, as it can be, really, because it is.
Absolutely.
People from all around the world, and
sorry.
I mean, it does kind of allude to your artwork there, but I think it's still quite a good question to ask. If you're happy,
there it is.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Okay, so question 3: what? Obviously, Norwich is such a strong visual identity and community spirit. Does the club's history or fan culture feed into your creativity at all?
It does currently, because I'm working on a Norwich series. But I mean, So I've tried to draw. I'm not sure if this is really answering the question, but I've tried to draw Norwich players and Norwich themed things for quite a while, and I've always had to abandon the drawings because I couldn't get the yellow and green to look any good. I really struggle to use those colours, which is why I thought, you know what, I'm going to attack this from a different angle, which is why the first Norwich City themed thing I did that I was happy enough to put out and show people was the Carrow Road drawing of Carrow Road in the snow. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to attack it with that angle, because actually that's earth colours and that's blues and it's reds and it's browns, and I could deal with those colours. And there's just like one bit of yellow and green, I think, just the badge on the stand. So it kind of does. It has inspired it, but it's also kind of hindered it a bit because of the awful clash of colours that yellow and green really is. But I found a way when I started doing those. That's why originally. So that's why with Brian Gunn was the first player I drew that I was happy to put out in the world and let people see. And I picked that image because he was red, because it was a red shirt. And then the next one I did was the Pookie one, and I thought, you know what, you're just gonna have to take the plunge. And but I think by that point I'd developed my skill enough to be able to handle the colours. But again, I think something I try and take from Norwich, I guess, or from football in general, but Norwich is the thing with Norwich is it's so easily identifiable, isn't it? You see yellow and green, a canary, and unless you're local to Hitchin, you're probably going to think Norwich. Because and like that kit with the Asset kit with the stripes, or the Bayern Munich kit that I think was roundly ridiculed when it came out for looking like vomit, but actually it's probably one of our most iconic kits now.
One of the, I'd say, top 10 has to be 10 in,
it's got to be. Yeah, absolutely.
It really does.
and it's just so, I reckon, top 10 history of kits, full stop. But not even Norwich, sure. But it's such a visual thing, and I think so. The inspiration for me would be, how do you create something that is so just iconic? Sounds like such an iconic's been destroyed by YouTube and people, isn't it? But it's such just a visual hook that you look at and go instantly, I know what that is. And I think that's a key part of art as well. I think is you can look at a painting and go, that's a Picasso, that's a Rothko, that's a Monet. Obviously not saying my work's that standard, but I think the creation of an instantly recognizable identity is something that's really important in both sport and art, because you're trying to create meaning out of something that doesn't necessarily have a tangible meaning to start with. So you're trying to create something that people can relate to and people can look at. So I think in that respect, then it does feed into my creativity, because I'm trying to look to how can I do that, and how can I give that to people and create that connection and that community through, because I do it now. And so I say my brother lives in Overstrand, my mum's got a house up there, so we take the kids up there a lot. I'm going to go up there in these holidays, and I still to this day get excited if I see someone wearing a Norwich shirt. I'm like, oh, Norwich shirt. So if I see someone in like Tesco and Bulldog wearing a Norwich shirt, I'm like, oh, Norwich fan, yeah. And I'll look for something on me to prove that I'm a Norwich fan, like I need some sort of secret badge or something. So I'm like, oh shit, I shall not wear my Norwich shirt. And then I'll be up in like Cromer, and I'll be with kids, let's go get an ice cream, and there'll be like a whole family wearing Norwich shirts, and I'll be like, oh yeah, Norwich fans, and I think, oh yeah, of course, I'm in Norfolk. But it still has that like connection to me, that I see it and I'm already like, oh yeah, Norwich. And it's trying to recreate that, I guess, for people. Would be where I would say that the crossover is for me. But also now I'm quite pleased I've actually resolved my issues with yellow and green, so I can actually draw the players. Because that's always something. I mean, it's something I always used to. So another one of my little things, when we go to the game, we go back to my granddad's, we'd have dinner, and then my nan and granddad were incredibly. They were lovely, but they were very old fashioned. So they didn't really put the telly on. They'd listen to classical music and sit there and read the paper, and it was all very quiet, and no one was allowed to make any noise. So I'd lay there on the floor in front of their fire with pencils and paper, and I'd draw Norwich players out of the programme, because it was like the only thing I could do to entertain myself before we went home. So I kind of, big part of my artistic journey, I guess, was drawing football players and football things. And
beautiful.
I used to collect those Corinthian figures that I'm sure you all remember.
The big heads.
That's the ones, and I used to be absolutely devastated they didn't do Norwich ones. But I've since, through Instagram, found I think people do repaint them or something, don't they?
Oh, okay.
And I used to try and make them myself out of clay so I could do the Norwich players. Get frustrated because they didn't look exactly the same, even though I was 10 and I was never going to be able to do it. Do you know what I mean? And then I was always like, I remember at university, when I was studying at university, I drew a cartoon of Captain Canary, the mascot, but I pumped him up and he had a gun and he was like, causing carnage. And my university lecturer didn't like it. They didn't appreciate the comedy value of it, I don't think. But yeah, so Norwich has always been part of my artistic journey, I suppose, because it's always been part of my life. And growing up as a kid in the 90s, you follow football, you brought the Merlin albums. For some reason, I traded my Darren Eady sticker, and I don't know why I did that. It really pissed me off when I remembered that I did that. But so drawing Norwich was always been part of my identity. So I'm actually quite pleased at this point that I can do it to the standard that I feel comfortable showing people, and actually other Norwich fans can look at it and go, oh yeah, actually I like that. It's really cool. I like that picture. And and I guess you talk about iconic things to connect with people. You can't not draw Jeremy Goss's goal, can you? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's just such a moment in time for the club and for the fans, and even for me. I mean,
club, again, like that image. I mean, whenever I think, this has come up before on this podcast, but whenever you think of an iconic Norwich image, There's three. Weirdly, there's three that instantly come to my mind. That Jeremy Koss straight away, brilliant. Yeah. There's that Nathan Redmond shot where he's like, I don't know, where he looks like he's pole vaulting in the air. Do you remember the one I mean, Jez? Yeah. His legs.
It's the playoff semi-final against Ipswich.
Yeah. And then lastly is Grant Holt laughing at Portman Road.
Yeah.
And they're the three that stick into my head the most out of I mean, like, in terms of playing, the one image I've always wanted to ask Chris Sutton about is the one where he's looking over at Robert Chase, because I think that's but I think what again keeps coming up in this podcast is because of where this club and where it is and the weird cultishness of it, everything that it puts out from time, like, not always, but from time to time, is a lot more it's a lot more visceral in terms of its visual appeal, because of the nature of the colors, right? I can't think of times like when I can't even think of any time in my head where we've worn an away kit where I remember a really iconic photo. I mean, Jez, you forgive me if I'm wrong.
Probably the closest to that, is when we beat Wolves in the playoff semi-final, and then we wore that red kit, didn't we? And there's a lot of images of the guys wearing it was the Digital Phone Company red kit. But I think that's probably that was probably the closest I would say to the away kit. Sorry, Morgan, carry on.
No, it's just, but I think, everything that we do put out, it's always really interesting. I mean, you've got to think, how many clubs play in blue? How many clubs play in red?
Yeah, red. Yeah, white.
How many clubs play in white? Even claret. It's like, I just think there's so many opportunities in terms of photography, videography, art, like yourself, to capture iconic in this club's history, and it lends itself perfectly to it, even though you hate yellow and green. But I know
I struggle to work with them. I don't know what every artist has got a palette, right? And it's just difficult to but one of the, like you say about, so one of the things I remember very vividly from my childhood, and you two probably, we look all like we're all probably roughly the same age, I guess. It was Match of the Day, probably in the late 90s. And obviously when they open up and they do the montage, there's something from every team, isn't there? And there was a shot of just a bunch of Norwich fans just fucking exploding in cheering, because obviously we'd scored a goal, and it was just like a sea of yellow shirts celebrating, and it just sticks in my mind because it was so impactful, because it was just I don't know, it must have been, maybe it was at a away end somewhere, because they were just so compact, and they just explode into, and it just always stuck in my mind. And you're right when you say about Norwich's level of support, and I think it probably comes down to the fact that, I mean, they're really the only club in Norfolk. I think the next biggest club are Great Yarmouth, aren't they? And they play in like a local league. So nationally, so yeah, if you live in Norfolk, you probably support Norwich, which is why there's been such solid fan base. Yeah. No one picks Norwich for glory, do they? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly
like, Man United have got tons of fans from the 90s, and Man City are going to have loads of fans from this era, who don't really care about that club because they picked it because they're winning everything. Whereas Norwich, you pick it because you love Norwich, or you've got a connection to Norwich, which means you can never leave it.
No, absolutely.
And also that means that if you're creating images, or like if you wrote a poem about Norwich, then it will connect with a lot of people because they've got that same feeling towards it. Whereas if I drew about Liverpool, I mean, I wouldn't ever draw about Liverpool. I wouldn't be able to bring myself to do it. But apologies if anyone's listening is a Liverpool fan, but I probably make the same assumption they're probably not. It wouldn't have. And I think as well, and there's something else I've learned, and Morgan, you might have experienced this with your writing. I don't know if you write anything other than poems, if you write novels or short stories or whatever, but something I found in that recently is I draw something, I draw a picture, and sometimes it just works. You look at it, that's really good. I'm really pleased with it. I really like how that looks. And other times I draw pictures and I think, oh God, it's not doing it for me. It doesn't pop. It's not. And what I've realised is the things that work are the things I actually I actually care about.
Yeah.
So like if I'm drawing about Norwich, if I'm drawing, I do a lot of toys from the 90s. So like I do like the old Hasbro wrestling figures or Lego figures or Bucky O'Hare figures and that sort of stuff. And if I care about what I'm drawing, then the pictures work. But if someone said to me, "Oh, can you draw a picture of my dogs, for example?" I'll do it, and it'll be to a decent standard, but it doesn't have that same spark in it because it's not. And it's probably the same with poetry, I guess. If someone said to you, "Oh, could you write me a poem for my wife because it's Valentine's Day?" You'd do it, but you don't love it because it's. Whereas if you're writing a poem about something that's really inspiring to you, it just makes it better. And I think that's I guess that's really. I think that's important. I think it could be important. I mean, I don't know because I'm not a footballer and I never was ever going to be a footballer. And I don't really know any footballers, but I do think about if you play for the club you support, would you subconsciously play better because you support them? I don't know. Like if I could be a professional footballer, I'd want to play for Norwich. And if Man United came along and said, "Oh, we want to sign you because you're a world-class goalkeeper for some reason," would I take it for the money? Probably because you're a professional and you've got a family. Would I love it? I don't know because it's not Norwich, is it?
Yeah, you've got a certain commitment, haven't you, and motivation. If you do
it's the same with art. I think if you don't love what you're doing, then it comes through in your work. And I think, I don't know how I got onto this or what I'm talking about really. But
this is how this thing rolls.
I love it.
Good.
Right. Okay. So, question from you, Morgan, please.
What's your ideal match day routine? So, do you have any studio time before kickoff, or straight to the game, or event space?
Okay, so I don't really have a routine. I mean, the routine as a kid was go to my nan's, have a sandwich, drive down, walk to the ground, get a program, watch the game, come home, eat dinner, make a Norwich figure out of my vegetables, do some drawing, go home. As I've got older, the routines have sort of shifted. But when Norwich are playing on telly and I like to watch them, I like to just get on normally in the morning so I don't have to think about it. Because especially at the moment we're not doing great. We're doing all right. We're doing better now. Philip Clement's here, but there was a period of time at the start of the season where I just didn't want to look at the score. I kind of like to just get on with it and pretend it is now. A bit like a job interview, when you've got a job interview the next day and you just pretend that you're fine. And then I just like to sit and watch it on my own, in my own little light. I just like to watch it because if I've got the kids there distracting me or someone's asked me a question, I get frustrated and I just want to watch. I just want to watch what happens. And then if we win, fantastic. If we don't, I go and sit in a dull room for about half an hour to recover from the frustration. But but what I do find as well. So I like, and I don't know if it's the same for you, Morgan. I like to sort of do art in response to something. So, but the only problem I have is I can't churn it out quick enough, right? So, like Toure scored 4 goals, is it, in his first 2 games?
Yeah, that's right.
5 and 3. Yeah, well, 4 and 2. Yeah, it was a 4 and 2 as well. Yeah.
So I think, I really want to make a piece of art in response to that, but I can't turn it around quick enough because by the time I make a piece of art in response to that, it'll be 3 weeks later.
Yeah,
and it won't be relevant. Else. Yeah, which is why I kind of gravitate towards the already recognizable things because it I can't get the work done quick enough. But so I guess that's part of my sort of match day routine as well. As if something happens or someone scores a hat trick, I feel like I want to react to that in some way, and doing that is usually drawing a picture. But because I said that they don't take that long. Probably couldn't sit and do one in one sitting because after a certain amount of time my eyes just give up and I can't tell if it's all in proportion and whatever. And also I do have a job and I do got 2 kids and they're both at school and I've got to do the school runs and get dinner sorted out, and then it's better in the summer, but in the winter it's dark by 7 o'clock in the evening and you think, have I got the energy to do it right now? But yeah, so I guess that's part of my routine as well, is almost cathartically responding to what I've witnessed by creating some art to deal with it.
I wonder if you could. I wonder if you could draw Philip Clement holding the Championship playoff trophy aloft at Wembley, just
I
sort of
probably
preempt it.
could, I think.
And then when it happens, you go, there you
Yeah,
go.
look, I predicted it. Yeah, like that guy. Wasn't that some guy that got England World Cup champions like tattooed on his leg or something because he was so confident we were going to win, and then we didn't.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, well done, mate.
Yeah.
I also heard a slightly off piece, but I heard a story once. Some guy on the radio, it was like Chez's Virgin Confessions. This was years ago, and he was a Sunderland fan, and he was like, "Oh, they're like, what's the stupidest thing you've done that's wound your missus up?" And he was like, "Oh, my missus went away for girls' weekend, so while she was away, I got the Sunderland badge screen printed on a wooden floor in our lounge. So when she came home, there was just a massive Sunderland badge on the floor in the lounge. And I just always remembered that, because I remember just thinking, what an absolute lunatic. Like,
That's
what
amazing.
an absolute loon. Like, he's not even gone and bought like a Sunderland rug and just put it down as a joke. He's properly got it printed on the floor.
Yeah.
And I just think, it's just, like, we've got a wooden floor in our lounge. I think, what would my wife do if she came home from work one day? It was just a Norwich patch on the floor.
I know what would happen to me if that happens.
It's better. You know what? There's one way of looking at this, Michael. Though it's better than having a satanic pentagram. Anyway,
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So I think, like, on your comment about that, like, I don't know if you guys
rather that than a Liverpool badge, but anyway.
I don't know if you guys know anything about David Squires, the cartoonist or illustrator from The Guardian, who does an animated,
no, not really. No, yeah,
phenomenal illustrator. It's always a little bit like it's poking fun at the Premier League, in a very kind of like nuanced way. So almost like criticizing it, but done really well. And obviously he releases it every week as part of The Guardian. But David Squires is one of those illustrators that is incredible.
I'm just looking at it now.
Check out. It's it's really good. He did one for us when we beat Man City at Carrow Road, and Todd Cantwell's got like long hair, and I think Pep is like doing something hilarious, but like, I guess your art is different to David Squires in that he's an illustrator, social commentator, I guess. So he's able to produce that kind of artwork quickly and efficiently.
And
yours is going to be more considered.
The way I draw, what I draw, how I draw, I tend to draw one thing just suspended in a space, right? So they don't really interact with each other. But I'm gonna Google his stuff after this because I'm interested to see it. But this is another thing that you sort of raised, where and it's not the same for sport. I don't think. Like there's a general understanding that professional athletes are professional athletes, right? And they're probably pretty good at most athletic things. But a footballer's a footballer. A footballer isn't a swimmer. Or a tennis player. Whereas an artist, like when I tell people I can draw, or people find out I can draw, one of the things I get asked most frequently is, "Can you do caricatures?" I'm like, no, because it's a completely different skill to what I do. It's a completely different thing. And I always think, like, if you find out someone's a professional golfer, you don't go, "Oh, you're a professional golfer. Can you drive F1 cars?" It's like you sort of think like it's a totally different thing. But it's just this. I guess it's just this thing where people just lump art all in one thing. But but again, I don't know what point I'm trying to make here. It's just a funny thing I thought I'd say. But I'm going to look this guy up when we're done, because I like the sound of it. I think I do like that sort of stuff, like the instantly, like, and I think like Gerald Scarfe was another one, was a satirical like artist and stuff, and the political cartoonist and the newspapers and stuff. There's a lot of value in that, because it like pierces the tension, I suppose, isn't it? The social like, but and also like you say, you can just respond quick, and it's funny. Like I remember there was a series in I I don't know if it was a Telegraph or the Mail, whatever. But when we had David Cameron and Nick Clegg were Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, and then George Osborne was the Chancellor, and there was just this ongoing cartoon of Cameron and Osborne just treating him like a twat because they were like it's some Oxford University Bullingdon club, and they were just calling him Cleggers and making him clean the toilet and carry their drinks and stuff. And like, I think there's huge value in that because, like you say, it could just skewer the nonsense of what we're looking at. But yeah, it's not my call. It's not what I would do myself. But I do enjoy that sort of stuff where you look at it. And I think that's the other thing as well. So, you know, when I was thinking about art, people say to me, "Oh, you know, what sort of art are you inspired by?" They'd probably expect you to say, "Oh, I don't know, you know, the Renaissance," or people who are really good at drawing. Actually, going back to what we said earlier, you know, Mark Rothko, his use of colour is unbelievable. And I've actually tried to take a lot of learning from that into my works. If you look at that picture of the Undertaker toy, right, that I sent you, I think I sent you that one. It's black, yeah, and it's black and it's reflective. But I think there's probably about 15 to 20 different colours in that black that I've used, that I've layered up to give it that look of black plastic. I haven't just got a black pencil and coloured it in black and gone, oh, it's black. And that's something that I've learned over years, but also I've taken from, you know, the way that the old masters in the Renaissance, or the way that Mark Rothko would do it, is you don't just paint black as black, right? You put other colours into it, you put red into it, you put browns into it, you put umbers into it, which makes it seem deeper, which is why it looks so deep. And Rembrandt was really good at it. I think he's generally considered the pinnacle of using black and shadow. Or Caravaggio, he was incredibly good at it. He used that black shadow, and like you can make, if you put a layer of yellow underneath a white, it makes the white more bright. Same with orange. If you put a layer of orange under red, it makes the red look more brilliant. And it's just tricks like that you learn from other artists. Where you look at my work and you look at Rothko's work and go, well, how can one be inspired by the other? Well, I'm not saying he was inspired by me, because he wasn't, because that's ridiculous. But because it was a long time before me and he was on a different level. But you look at my work, so well, how can that be inspired by that? And you think, well, actually, it can. It's just you take what they do, and you take what that says to you, and you put it into your own work. It doesn't have to be like a direct copy, I suppose. So yeah, again,
that's amazing.
I don't know how I got onto that. I cannot remember
what
we
it's
talked
fine.
About.
It's all good.
I will say this for listeners out there that are concerned about the shade of black. There's a thing called a hex code in graphic design. So a hex code is 6 digits. So if you look at black on your screen, your mobile phone, it's never, usually it shouldn't ever be hashtag 6 zeros in a row. So 0000000, because that is actually too weird for the eye to understand as a shade of black. So what Michael is saying is, there is a psychology behind the perception of the shade of black. So what you're saying is there are other colors in that black to make it digestible for people's eyes. And I'm done, Jez. That's me. I'm retiring from the podcast now. Good luck with it.
Yeah, no, thanks. No, I think it does actually lead really nicely into the last question. I was going to go on and talk about how we interpret colours and be really philosophical, but I think that's one for another day. So, Michael, if you could create one artwork to sum up your life as an artist, and also a Norwich fan, and also being from Bedfordshire, what would it look like?
I really want to just say disappointment, but no, that's not true. I don't. That's a really hard question. I don't know. I don't know. Do you know what? I can't answer that. I don't know how I'd sum it all up in one piece of art. Like, I mean, I guess so what I guess what I'm focusing on my art at the moment is my life and my childhood, I guess. So a lot of what I draw about is culture from the 90s.
Yeah.
The Attitude Era from WWE wrestling, Norwich, toys I played with and that sort of stuff. So I guess the Subbuteo man I drew in the Norwich kit, I guess, would be quite a succinct way of putting it, because it encapsulates a lot about my childhood. Like Subbuteo was a game that we played. We're probably all the same sort of age. We didn't have Xboxes and PlayStations. We didn't have FIFA. So if we wanted to pretend we were playing a game of football, we had to flick little plastic men around a felt thing. So that encapsulates my childhood, and I have very vivid memories of playing it with my brother in our old house when we grew up, where we were growing up. And if you couldn't get the bubbles out the mat, it was a nightmare. And then also it's Norwich, and it's from the 90s, and it's got that classic kit that I had when I was a kid, but that one, unfortunately, they actually bought me the right size when I was 8, so I threw it away because I outgrew it. And I guess it encapsulates my journey as an artist as well, because it's a very recent piece that I've done, but in every piece that you do, it is the sum of all the other things that you've done for the last 20, 30, 40 years. So I guess if I could, it doesn't really relate to Bedfordshire, I suppose, but it relates to my life growing up as a childhood. It relates to my football club that I've supported since I was a boy. It relates to my journey and my, how I've developed my practice as an artist over the years. And also it's quite isolated, isn't it? It's just on its own. And I guess that's kind of how I felt over the years, and several things. It's certainly trying to be an artist as you try and get out there, and it can be lonely, and you don't have a network, you don't have you don't have some people helping you, because it's quite competitive, and people see it as a zero-sum game sometimes. If they help you, then they're losing, and I guess so. If I had to encapsulate all of that in one image, it would be that, I suppose. But then also on the front of it, it's just a picture of a Subbuteo man. So it's quite, so there's a story behind it, and it the 40 years that have gone before it feed into it. But I guess unless you know that, you just look at it and go, oh, it's a Subbuteo man.
Love that.
So I guess that would be the thing. If I think of anything else, I'll draw it, but I couldn't. I think it's such a complex thing to try and. I mean, there's this painting by Edward Hopper, who did Nighthawks, and I would wager you will see Nighthawks. If you haven't, you know what it is. It's the painting of the guys in the cafe in like the 20s in America.
Yes.
It's dark outside and it's bright.
Yeah.
And there's endless spoofs of it with The Simpsons and Family Guy and all sorts. But one of his best ever paintings he ever did was just a chair, in the corner of a room with light reflecting on it. And it's just a chair in a room with light reflecting on it, but it's one of his best paintings, and it's just a culmination of years of refinement of skill. And he spent years painting light and reflection and light, and how light lands on subjects and how it comes through a window, and so on and so on and so on. Obviously his most famous one is Nighthawks, but one of his most accomplished ones is just this chair in a corner, because it's just a culmination of 50 years worth of work to refine a skill. And I guess that's, if you ask an artist what would sum up their life, I suppose, I guess they'd always say their most recent piece of art, because it's the thing that's all the stuff that's led them to it is in it, even if it doesn't look like it. And I guess that would be my answer, I think.
Fantastic. No, thank you very much. Right, I'm going to pass over to Morgan, because it's time for, and I think this is going to have a twist to it. I've just got a feeling.
Oh yeah, I've got a pen and paper here.
Yeah, so have I. I've kind of moved my pen and paper into position, ready for whatever's about to come. So I'll pass you over to Mr. Morgan here for this week's random question of the week.
I like you putting your glasses on like a little old man. Right.
Oh my God. He's got a prop.
Random adventure of the week. Well, it's not really an adventure. However, You know, we were talking about caricatures, both of you earlier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got a challenge for you. So, random challenge of the week. I want you both to draw a Norwich City footballer that you most enamored with at any period of their career, and I will judge which one's the best, and then whoever wins.
What chance have I got? Come on. I'm a left-hander.
Hang on, you heard Michael. Listen, before you butt in there, big head. Michael said that he's not a caricature drawer.
Yeah,
anyway,
not a caricaturist. Yeah.
I want you guys to guess who this is, and where it was, and what happened at the time.
Oh wow! Did you draw that?
Yes.
That's incredible.
It's not really, is it?
Yeah,
it's a
little bit blurry. Bring it forward a little bit, Morgan. Just as a little bit blurry.
He looks a bit like Jimmy Hill, but I don't think he played for Norwich, did he?
I know what it is.
Was it Grant Holt smiling at Fortman Road?
Yeah.
Go on. 100%. What else is he doing?
Eating a pie.
Yeah, eating a pie.
And what's his other finger doing?
Yeah, flipping him off. Yeah, flipping the bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, have some of that. And then I assume they're crying Ipswich players, are they? And is that a bin for the dog shit? Is it?
Yeah, it's a wheelie bin.
Yeah.
So
we're going to sell that. Well, you're going to sign that, and we're going to put it on the website in a raffle for someone to win.
Yeah, and also Michael, if you'd be kind enough to donate one of your prints, we'll
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You can have whichever one you want. Let me know, and I'm actually up at an event in Norwich on the 22nd of March selling prints. If anybody's
same event as us. Is it the forum?
Yeah, on the stall, City of Arranged, I think. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll see you there then. Yeah. Me and my brother are going to be there selling prints. So
amazing.
So yeah, that'd be cool. I'll meet you in person.
Eyes down. You've got. Right. I'll give you a few minutes. I'll keep this up.
So what's the brief? It's a player doing something iconic from our memory.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Is that what we've got?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got something. I've got something that I remember very vividly. Right. Okay.
Yeah, right. I've got something.
Here we go.
It's going to be rubbish.
So I've got to keep.
Mine's not going to be great, mate. I won't worry about it because it's not.
I just like the fact that I'm going to advertise Castle Rising Castle. Don't look, you guys. Concentrate on what you need to do. This is Norfolk land.
Whilst we are drawing, Morgan, did you want to talk a little bit about who we're partnered with and what people can get at the Freemasons, etc.? And that saves me doing it at the end.
Yeah, it does. So we have recently joined in partnership with the Freemasons Arms, a great event space and pub at the top of Hall Road towards Carrow Road. Very generously decided to get involved with us, and any subscribers of this, I don't know why you would, but you know, it is what it is. Any subscribers of our channel can flash their evidence of such at the bar on match days for a 10% discount on food and drink. Match days can be in the week or the weekend, and that goes for away fans too, hopefully. We are also very excited to reveal that we might be selling merchandise out of the Freemasons. So your usual fare of t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, big Jez stickers, his head, that kind of thing. If that tickles your pickle. But yeah, very excited. And also we'll be hopefully using the Freemasons as an event space for any upcoming shenanigans that we've got planned. So all in all, quite an exciting time to be a Beyond the Barclay follower.
And what episode have we got coming up with a former player? Because this will probably go out. This will probably go out before that. So talk a little bit about the former player that we had on.
We recently spoke to Elliot Bennett, so part of the Paul Lambert promotion squad from the Championship to the Premier League, and spent a bit of time in the Premier League. Benno it's not because I'm that familiar with him. It's because he didn't want to be called Elliot, which is fair because it makes me sound like a high school teacher. But I was talking about his career under Lambert, his mentorship with up and coming youth footballers, his experience of Premier League football and the squad that got us there. So it's really interesting to hear about his massive puzzle as well, that hopefully he'll complete with his family, get framed, sign, and we'll also give it away via Beyond the Barclay. So watch this space for any kind of puzzle related antics.
Yeah, perfect. How long we got?
I'm going to give you guys another, as long as it takes me to quickly look at a message on a dating app. Well,
I'm done. I'm done. If you're ready.
Yeah, I'm there. To be fair, I ain't going to get any better than what I've drawn.
Excellent. Okay. Right. So.
Are you trying to guess what they are? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
So I didn't think this whole thing through. What we're going to do is give them away as well.
No one is going to want this. I can promise you.
Jez is very quiet, so I like the look of this. Right, you're going to go first because you're.
I'm going first. Did you say?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what I've drawn. Can you? I'm blurred, aren't I? Hang on, let me unblur if I can. Hopefully, I can do that. Yeah, I can. None. Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah, it should be okay now. Can you see that?
It's
that's
someone scoring a goal.
Okay, that looks like Wembley. So I'm going for Nathan Redmond's.
So the players just to sort of draw kind of describe it then. So that's a goalkeeper and he's just saved a penalty and he's carrying a tulip.
So there is to do. So it's to do with Spurs then, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it Tim Krul?
It is.
Oh yeah, because he's Dutch. Yeah, with you. Yeah. Okay.
When he ran, we talk about iconic images, and there was the whole thing around the bottle that night, wasn't there? Of him holding the bottle with where the Spurs players were going to take the kick, and then him just bolting off when he saved the winning penalty. I took my mum to that game, and it was about 2 weeks before we went into lockdown.
Okay.
And we were on a train which was like sardines from Liverpool Street to whatever train station it is outside White Hart Lane. But yeah, it was just, and there is also a Spurs player on there. I don't know if you can see him or not.
I couldn't make out what it said in his back of his shirt.
It just says Spurs because I couldn't remember.
Oh, Spurs, right? Yeah,
who it
was.
I think it was Gelson Fernandez that missed the penalty, but I just couldn't remember who it was, so I just wrote Spurs. But
I do like the fact that Tim Krul's wearing like a tiny trilby.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be his hair. Is it? Is that his hair?
That is his hair. Yeah. As I say, I stand no chance against you two absolute pros. Right.
I was gonna draw Tim Krul, but I went for Brian Gunn instead when I did my drawings.
Okay.
Mine's not. So it's not necessarily an iconic moment, but it's a moment that I vividly remember from my childhood because it happened one weekend when Norwich were playing at home, I think, and I got absolutely mullered for it at school on a Monday morning because I was the only Norwich fan in the class. And I don't know if you can see it really, but you're gonna need to see the bottom bit.
It's the light.
Oh, it's the own goal. I mean, it's the own goal.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, where someone would pass it back to him and he went to kick it and just completely missed it. It went under his leg and into the net.
Yeah,
it bobbled. Yeah.
It was Robert Oliphant, wasn't it?
And I can't remember what game it was, but I remember going into school the next day and just getting absolutely mullered by everyone for being a Norwich fan, and it's just stuck in my memory. And it was the only thing I could think of under pressure to draw. So I don't think any Norwich fan's going to want it, to be honest.
Should we all put our drawings up again just for the viewership at home? I actually think that people will want this. This is a moment in time for everyone.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome to have it, and you're also, like I said, you're welcome to have a print,
Thank you.
or more than one print if you want. If you want to let me know,
that'd be amazing.
Which
That
image
would be
or
amazing.
images you think
We have to.
my aim is to do all 6 players that are on the South Stand mural. So I've just got Grant Holt and Wes Houlihan to do, and then I'll start another series of something else. I don't know what. I'll think of it, maybe the classic Munich team or something else. But yeah, if you let me know what you want, I can either send you guys some prints, or I can give you some prints when we're up at that thing. Some other things to say, but yeah.
To be honest, at some point the club are going to ask you to go in, aren't they, and do some stuff maybe in like the Lion and Castle pre-game or something. It's got to be on the cards.
Maybe. I mean, I'll be honest with you. What I would like, I'd like to sell my prints in the club shop.
Yeah.
Because I think there'd be a market for them. Do you want me to sign this masterpiece of Brian Gunn as well?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks everyone so much for watching, and thank you so much for coming on as well, Michael.
It's been a pleasure.
For everyone else watching, we are on all of the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, and X, and we are proudly. We are also on YouTube, and Morgan has already done this, but I will do it again. We're proudly supported by Master Seal, Pie Design, and the Freemason Arms Pub on Hall Road, where you can get 10% off on food and drink if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. I've been Jez Davies.
I've been the caricature fingerist that is Morgan Hewitt.
And I guess I've been Michael Brace, I suppose.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.